That's a clown question, bro.
Hi, what's up on you?
So I'm gonna kick some dirt.
He gets on base.
Just a bit outside.
I'm not the type of player that's going to be Johnny Hustle.
If you don't want me to watch the ball, you can go get it out of the ocean.
And welcome to the show to be named later, where we're talking baseball kind of whenever. I'm your host, Chris Gianta. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Curran. How you doing, Daniel?
You know, Chris, it felt weird not doing the intro this time, but I guess we're back to normal now.
Yeah, you know, people wondered what a return to normalcy would look like in the past couple days, and this is it.
Yeah. Yep.
This is what it is. Today, we are talking about the 2016 Cubs. Welcome to part 2 of the episode, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we're talking the 2016 Cubs. This is probably our best story, or one of our better stories. This and the 1995 Mariners are unique in their own way.
Yeah.
This is just, the biggest curse in history. But yeah, it's a very special team. We have a very special episode for it.
That's right.
So we can just get right into it.
So we all know the story. Coming into 2016, the Cubs hadn't won a World Series since 1908. Teddy Roosevelt was president the last time they had won, and they hadn't been to the World Series since 1945. And their first glimmer of hope came the last season when they went 97-65, won the wild card game and the National League Division Series, but then were swept in the NLCS by Daniel Murphy and the New York Mets. By the way, that's the 2015 New York Mets. You can check them out in part 2 of episode 45. So into the offseason, the Cubs they meant business. They signed John Lackey, a veteran starting pitcher, Ben Zobrist, a second baseman who had just seen championship success with the Royals, and then Jason Hayward, a really good defender, stolen from an in-division team. They signed him to a 7-year, $184 million contract. It was huge. But they also traded beloved second baseman Starlin Castro for Adam Warren, a pitcher from the Yankees. And coming into spring training, this team had high hopes, and they were quite honestly the number 1 team in the National League. And they were looking good, obviously, but their leadoff hitter from last year, Dexter Fowler, was still a free agent. And well, on February 25th, Cubs players came to training camp with a nice surprise. So Dexter Fowler is now back with the Chicago Cubs. So he was back, and beloved catcher David Ross announced before the start of the season that this would be his last. He would be retiring at the conclusion of 2016.
So then we go into pretty much the beginning of the season, where the Cubs won their first 2, kind of a preview of the hot start that was to come. And in Game 3, unfortunately, we saw disaster sort of strike for the team early.
Left center, Schwarber. This could be trouble. Got to get over there. Drops it. He collides with Fowler. And Segura's flying around the bases. Matt Williams will wave it in. Here comes Gene Segura. And he is safe. And Schwarber is hurt on the warning track. Trainers are running out there. He collided with Dexter Fowler. And Segura's shaken up as well. Kyle Schwarber is down.
Well, you could almost see that coming. That ball just tailing away from Schwarber as he was running full speed into that gap in left center. Dexter Fowler coming over from center field.
You can see the dirt on Schwarber's face. He went down hard.
Both guys running at full speed. Both guys thought they had a chance to make the play. It looked like the left leg took the brunt of the contact there. Schwarber still has his wherewithal to try to reach out and grab that ball as it was rolling away.
Dexter Fowler is a big man, 6'5", 195, almost at full speed. And he collided with Schwarber out there. That left leg.
So that was Kyle Schwarber's regular season. That was it. He tore his ACL on the play, and that injury would sideline him for the rest of the regular season. And 2 days later, Jake Arrieta sort of set the tone for how the Cubs would respond to this early adversity.
3-2. High fly ball out into deep left center. Way back. Gone. That is a two-run homer for Jake Arrieta. What can't he do?
He has officially entered superhero status. Give that guy a movie deal. Unbelievable. I'm just getting ready to tip my hat to him for just having a good lengthy at-bat. Never mind.
So Jake Arrieta hits a two-run home run. However, it would not be the only home run that this pitcher would be hitting.
That's right. So this team got off to an absolutely comically great start. It was an absolute joke. And on April 21st, Jake Arrieta, the reigning Cy Young winner, the guy who you just saw with the bat, was making his fourth start of the season against the Cincinnati Reds and looking to go 4-0.
Cubs ace Jake Arrieta is out to make some history against the Reds on Thursday. Bottom two, he already has a 4-0 lead. He'll strike out Devin Mesoraco and Adam Duvall. Let's jump to the seventh now. It's 9-0 Chicago. Chris Bryant belts a grand slam off Drew Hayes. It's Bryant's second homer of the evening and fifth for Chicago overall to make it 13-0. But that's not even the biggest story. Bottom seven, Arrieta has a no-hitter working. He'll strike out Brandon Phillips to end the frame. In the eighth, it's Duvall striking out to win that inning. And in the ninth, with the score now 16-0, Eugenio Suarez is the last hope for Cincinnati. But Arrieta gets him to pop out to the right side. Jason Hayward will put it away. And that's it. It's a no-hitter for Jake Arrieta. The reigning NL Cy Young Award winner continues to dominate. His second no-hitter in as many seasons. Chicago blank Cincy 16-zip. Arrieta.
So Jake Arrieta throws his second no-hitter in as many years. He became the second Cubs pitcher of all time to throw two no-hitters. The other one was Ken Holtzman in 1969 and 1971. And later on Mother's Day, the Cubs and Nationals were in extras. Bryce Harper was 0 for 0 on the day with 6 walks. That isn't important, but I thought it should be noted just because it's crazy. And Javier Baez came up in the 10th looking to end it.
Cub hitters to do something heroic this afternoon, and Baez delivers.
So that gets the Cubs rolling once again. I'm sure Javier Baez's mother was so proud that day.
Yeah, if there's a time to make her proud,
yeah,
that's the time.
Yes. So the Cubs were absolutely destroying every team in their path. On May 10th, they were 25-6 on the season. That was by far the best record in baseball. And just for some context, the 116-win 1906 Cubs, they started out 6-6. It took the Cubs about 19 more games to get to 6 losses than it did in 1906. So that was insane. And some of the offensive leaders on this team, number one was the free agent signing Dexter Fowler. He led the National League in FWAR with 2.1 on May 10th. He was fourth in weighted runs created plus with 182 and third in WOBA with a 441. Anthony Rizzo, the first baseman, was hitting extremely well. Slash line of 281, 423, 632 for a 1055 OPS, a 435 WOBA, 174 weighted runs created plus, 1.6 wins above replacement, which was fourth in the majors. And, oh no, I'm sorry. He was fourth in the majors in ISO as well with a 351. Chris Bryant, their third baseman, stud, 295, 377, 500, 877 with a 377 WOBA, 136 weighted runs created plus, and 1.3 F4. Another free agent signing, Ben Zobrist, 305, 424, really good walk rate, 493, 919, and a 393 WOBA, 146 weighted runs created plus, and 1.2 wins above replacement. Offensively, the Cubs led the majors in F4. It wasn't even close. They had a 9.3. The next best in the majors was 7.9. They also led in walk percentage with a 12.8 and OBP with a 371. So now on the pitching side, Jake Arrieta, he made 6 starts and he was 6-0 with a 1.13 ERA, which led the NL. John Lester was 4-1 with a 1.96 ERA. Kyle Hendricks had a 3.10 ERA, and Jason Hamill had a 4-0 record with a 1.5 ERA. Also in the bullpen, Hector Rondon, 7 for 7 in save opportunities with a 0.73 ERA and a negative 0.1 FIP. That easily led the majors. 14.59 Ks per 9, 0 walks per 9, with 12.1 innings pitched, and 0.7 F4, which was tied for the major league lead. Pedro Strop was also dealing out of the pen, 1.98 ERA, 1.46 FIP, and a 12.51 Ks per 9. And as for rotation, the Cubs led the majors in ERA with a 2.33, and the bullpen led the majors in ground ball percentage, which is exactly what you're supposed to do out of the bullpen with a 54.2% ground ball rate. So after this, what did they do? They kept on rolling. On June 6th, the Cubs won their 40th game and went up 10 games in the NL Central. And in mid-June, the Cubs called up catching prospect Wilson Contreras to make his major league debut. And he got his first opportunity at the plate on Sunday Night Baseball.
I think Cub fans are excited about Wilson Contreras. I mean, he's probably having enough trouble just keeping his heart rate down, and then he gets a standing ovation from 40,000 people. That's a goosebump kind of moment here before his first ever big league at bat. High and deep to center field, and it is gone! Can you believe it? What a scene and what a moment for Wilson Contreras, homering in his first major league at bat. Got a standing ovation before the at bat and a curtain call after.
What a start for Wilson Contreras. First pitch he ever sees, dead center into the bleachers. How about that?
Wait. Sorry, I didn't know if you ended on your highlight there. We'll edit that out.
Yeah. So moving on ahead, on June 25th, Chris Bryant had a historic day at the Dish, and we'll show his offense right now.
That will get into the left field corner. Hayward on his way to third. Trouble there for Duvall. Gary Jones is going to send him, and he will score. Throw to third. Late. Cubs lead 1-0. Bryant in the air. Deep center. It will go. 2 for 2. 2 RBIs, and the Cubs lead again.
It's a win round trip travel for 2 on Southwest Airlines.
Oh, baby!
Give me that read again, Audrey. Give me a read. 4,972 feet. That ball went to Kentucky.
A 3-run homer for Bryant. It's 7-3. Here's the 0-1. Another ball hit hard out into left center. He's going to try for 2, and he's going to be safe. He got in. I love that. Chris Bryant doing tons of damage against Reds pitching.
He has been remarkably consistent.
Number 3. Full house time, baby. I don't want no stinking cycle.
What a show. What a show.
Unofficially.
Not going to do it.
Unofficially, according to Scott Lindholm, who does a lot of baseball research, since 1913, he is the first player ever to do this. 3 homers and 2 doubles.
And Jason Herod trying to coax him up for the curtain call.
So Chris Bryant becomes the first player to hit a baseball 1,972 feet, as you heard on that broadcast. Also, just wanted to note, it said on the broadcast that since 1913, no one had had 3 home runs and 2 doubles in a game. I looked it up on Baseball Reference, and it said that it had never happened since 1901, when game logs were recorded. So according to Baseball Reference, Bryant was the first player in MLB history with 3 home runs and 2 doubles in a single game.
Unbelievable. I don't have the how about that ready because we usually reserve that for the players.
Yeah.
But in the instance that we have such a thing, I feel
it deserves it.
That it is only appropriate that gets a.
That's right.
So
June 28th, the Cubs won their 50th game of the season. They had the best winning percentage in the major leagues, and absolutely nothing could stop them.
But then, unfortunately, the Cubs came back down to earth for a second. The Cubs went 2-9 between June 30th through the end of the first half, and that was the worst record in the National League during that time period. And the most memorable moment of that skid, kind of a representer of that skid, was when rookie Josh Bell came up to the plate down 2 with the bases loaded.
Strikeout, so you try to jump on something early. We've seen that from Josh Bell twice.
Towering drive deep to right. Way out of here. And it may have ended up in the river. A grand slam for Bell. He might want to retire.
The reaction was priceless from Josh Bell. He knew it right away. I asked Clint Hurdle before the game, is there any way this kid stays here? He said he's only here for 3 days. He's only coming off the bench. I said, what if he just kills it and does great? He says it doesn't matter.
So Josh Bell kind of makes an exclamation mark on how bad things are going for the Cubs at the time. And unequivocally, the pitching was a major reason for this 2-9 skid. They had a negative 1.4 FWAR, and it was the worst in the league. And the second worst was only negative 0.8. So they had about 50% higher than the 50% lower than the next worst team. And only 2 teams in the majors gave up at least 2 home runs per 9 during this time. They were the Reds at 2.01 home runs per 9 and the Cubs at 2.65 home runs per 9. And they also had the worst ERA in the NL at the time with a 7.11 and the worst FIP in the majors with a 6.45. However, they still had a 7-game lead in the division because of that great start. But the San Francisco Giants still held the best record in the National League by 3 games. Then it came to the All-Star break where the Cubs were highly celebrated. Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, Ben Zobrist, Addison Russell, Dexter Fowler, Jake Arrieta, and John Lester were all selected to the All-Star game. Chris Bryant was the NL FWAR leader at the break with 4.6 Fangraphs wins above replacement. And Anthony Rizzo was also the National League leader in WOBA at 419. And he also led all Major League first basemen in FWAR with 3.6. Ben Zobrist at the time led all National League second basemen in runs scored with 59. Addison Russell led all National League shortstops in walk percentage with 11.1% walk rate. Dexter Fowler was 4th among National League outfielders in FWAR with 2.6. And Jake Arrieta ranked 5th among all NL pitchers in home runs per 9 with 0.55. And John Lester ranked 3rd among all National League pitchers in left on base percentage with 83.7% of men getting on base, not reaching home plate. And in the first inning in this Fall Classic, which took place
Midsummer Classic.
Park, or the not the Fall Classic, the Midsummer Classic. In this Midsummer Classic, Chris Bryant got things started for that National League team.
Might be the premier home run hitter in the National League, and this is belted out of here. Chris Bryant, first pitch swinging, 1-0 National League. This guy is putting together already a season for the record books.
That's why our game is in such good hands when you're talking about guys like Bryant and Seager, the young player. This guy said, I am not getting deep in the count. I'm going to look at the first pitch I see and deposit in left field and give the team.
So Chris Bryant kind of makes his mark, makes himself more nationally known with that All-Star Game home run. However, the American League would still go on to win, and the American League would be awarded home field advantage in the World Series. Also, this was the last year that home field advantage was awarded to the winner of the All-Star Game in the World Series. So the Cubs got the bad end of that, got the short end of that stick.
They did. So now we go into the trade deadline after the All-Star break, and the Cubs made a couple of moves. On July 20th, the Cubs traded prospect Daniel Vogelbach and pitcher Paul Blackburn to the Mariners for a reliever named Mike Montgomery. And Montgomery was impressive for the Mariners. He had a 2.34 ERA. But at the time, this wasn't really seen as a huge move, kind of just a minor deal. Maybe just a guy who could be a long reliever for the Cubs. However, on July 25th, the Cubs traded Gleyber Torres, Billy McKinney, and Adam Warren to the Yankees for Aroldis Chapman, the Cuban Missile. Chris, this is the guy that gets the last out of the World Series for you. This is the guy you want on that mound.
Exactly.
That's right. Up until that point, Chapman had a 1.93 ERA and a 12.6 strikeouts per 9. So that was the Cubs trade deadline action. They got their closer. And Hector Rondon and Pedro Strop are still pitching very well, but Chapman is an established guy, and that's what you want. So with that being said, on July 31st, trade deadline day, the Cubs played a game on Sunday Night Baseball that I quite honestly don't know how I'm supposed to explain it, so we're just going to watch the recap of it.
Playing on Sunday Night Baseball for the first time since 2004. Brian Mattis making his Cubs debut Sunday night. It's already a 4-0 Seattle lead. Top of the third, there's a runner on as Mattis faces Day-Ho Lee.
Here's Lee hitting one a long way. Left center field. It is another home run for the Mariners. Their third two-run homer in as many innings. 6-0 Seattle. Travis Wood is still in the game, but he's in left field. He played a little bit in left field in an extra inning game earlier this year. He's out in left field now. I don't know if Wood's going to have a play on this one. It is caught! He races back to the ivy and made the catch!
Makes the catch.
And that's a brick wall behind that ivy. Might leave a mark.
That's a pitcher.
Look at this standing ovation he's getting, not just from his teammates, from everybody here. And in to pitch for Seattle is their closer, Steve Cishek.
And the bases are loaded for Wilson Contreras. Now the 1-2. Ground ball to third, fielded by Seager, goes to second one. The throw to first, not in time. A run scores.
Very close play at first. They're going to review this.
He was safe at first. And officially the umpires say he remains safe. Tying run at third, winning run at first. The 0-2. A wild pitch. Here comes Russell. Score! The game is tied. A wild pitch. Addison Russell scores. This ball game is tied at 6.
And I mean, this ball is 5 feet outside and goes to the backstop.
And the 2-2. Cano hits one in the air, shallow left toward the line, long run, racing over and making a sliding catch is Wilson Contreras. He slid behind the bullpen mound and made the catch. Cubs are making some tremendous plays in this game.
Cody Martin is on to pitch for Seattle. I think John Lester came to the ballpark today saying, I wonder if I'll be called upon as a pinch hitter tonight.
You're just looking for something to get that run 90 feet.
Here's the 2-2. Lester is going to bunt. It's out in front of the plate. Here comes Hayward. He scores! Cubs win! Cubs win! John Lester with a beautiful bunt. Jason Hayward a head-first slide at home plate. The Cubs win the ball game.
It's a remarkable.
So John Lester playing the hero, just like everyone expected. I don't know what the weirdest part of that game was, Chris. The Travis Wood catch in left, the Wilson Contreras, the catcher playing left field, John Lester hitting a walk-off sac bunt. That game was just so incredibly weird, and it exemplified everything that the Cubs are as a team and Joe Madden is as a manager.
Yeah, you're right. It is inexplicable.
That's right. Do you remember that game by any chance?
Not much. For some reason my baseball memory in regular season 2016 is just kind of off. I don't know.
I was in Delaware watching this on my TV in my vacation house.
Yeah. So the Cubs, after a win like that, they're set to kind of finish it off, try to close up this National League Central. It's division winning season, getting around that time. And the Cubs got off to an 11-game win streak right after the deadline, immediately after an 11-game win streak. And between August 1st and August 18th, the Cubs as a team had a 2.22 ERA, and they went 14-2 as a team. Also, on August 18th, Chris Bryant, the third baseman for the Cubs, was at it once again, setting records once again.
Ground ball towards center and through as they were shifting. Jeanette was over on the other side of second base. Chris Bryant, deep left, and gone. He got it up into the jet stream, and it's 4-0. Breaking ball was elevated, and Bryant's got another hit. Caesar scores. It's a double. He is a triple away from the cycle. High fly to center. Way back toward the wall. Gone! Nothing better than a triple. Single homer, double homer for Bryant.
Wow, what a show he is putting on here today.
Scores. What a day for Bryant. It's a 5 for 5. It's 9-6.
It's his turn now to hear the MVP chants from this crowd.
So Chris Bryant has an incredible day. And in fact, Bryant, with this game, he became the first National League player. Became the first National League player in history to have multiple games of 5 hits and 2 home runs in a single season. So Chris Bryant was making history during the season.
Yeah, that's right.
And also the Cubs in the month of August had a 22-6 record, kind of going back to where they were in April, and they finished the month 15 games up in the National League Central. And then heading into mid-September, on September 16th, Miguel Montero came up to the plate against the Brewers looking to win the game. And Cubs were right on the brink of clinching the NL Central, so he was looking to potentially do some damage here. So Miguel Montero hits that home run to walk it off, push them one game closer to winning that National League Central. And later that day, because of a loss from another team, the Cubs clinched the National League Central for the first time since 2008. It had been 8 years. And ultimately, the Cubs finished the season 103-58 with the best record in the National League.
So now we're going to take a look at what I call the Windy City winners from this team. Chris Bryant, we have to start out with him. He was the National League MVP, and no doubt about it. He had a slash line of 292, 385, 554, 938 with 7.9 wins above replacement, which led the National League. And he was also tied for, and while we're in the StatCast era, I figured I'd shout this out. He was also tied for 10th in the majors with barrels. He had 53 of them. And then Anthony Rizzo, first baseman, 292, 385, 544, 928. They had eerily similar slash lines, the exact same batting average and the exact same OBP. Just Bryant slugged a little bit better. And Rizzo was the only first baseman in the NL with 30 home runs and 100 RBIs. He finished fourth in the MVP voting. And, I can go on and on about stats that proved how good Bryant and Rizzo were this year. But none of it will top the fact that they actually got MLB to make a good marketing campaign. That is something that cannot be said about really anybody. And they were the ones that did it. In the start of the season, MLB put out a promo about the Cubs. Take a look at it.
This is Chris Bryant. And this is Anthony Rizzo. As the muscle of the Chicago Cubs lineup, they've decided to go into business. The souvenir business.
Brizzo Souvenir Company, please hold. We founded Brizzo Souvenir Company to get you the home run balls you deserve. Help me help you get some baseballs. It's a good deal, Joe. Yeah, have you seen us play? We authenticate them with our bats. 9-ounce balls. You know home run derby balls are going to be more than that. I shouldn't be eating like this. Dude, this guy Vince, are we shipping to St. Louis? That's why we're best friends.
Take it or leave it. Deal.
Woo!
Another one.
Each ball is authenticated by our bat.
You like home run balls?
We've got home run balls. Hey, Chris, are these for Nebraska?
Alaska.
All right, Nebraska. I thought. We put the ding in dinger. They ain't lying.
That was beautiful.
Amazing.
So, like I said, they got, the fact that they got MLB to do a good marketing campaign about them speaks more volumes than any statistic I could possibly name, because that doesn't happen all that often. We know that. So, moving right along, Addison Russell had a 3.3 F4 and finished 19th in the MVP voting. Very good for him. John Lester on the mound. He finished second in the Cy Young vote, a 2.44 ERA, 197 strikeouts, and 202 2/3 innings pitched. And one guy that they had a huge breakout season from was Kyle Hendricks, a 2.13 ERA, 196 ERA plus, and 170 strikeouts and 190 innings pitched. He finished third in the Cy Young and 23rd in the MVP vote. Also, Jake Arrieta, he did not follow up his Cy Young season with anything short of exceptional. 3.10 ERA, 190 Ks, and 197.1 innings, and 9th in the Cy Young voting. Joe Madden also finished second in the Manager of the Year voting. And the Cubs led the majors in offensive WAR with 37.1 and also walk rate with 10.4. And they led the majors in ERA with a 3.15 and xFIP with a 3.74. Also, the rotation had a sub-3 ERA, and the next best in the majors was 3.60. So now they're in the playoffs. Now it's when it counts, because this team's been here before, but as we all know, Since 1908, it hasn't been done. Remember that time the Giants were fighting with the Cubs for the best record in the National League? Yeah, they skidded away hard, going 30-42 in the second half and having 30 blown saves on the season. So in game one, fittingly enough, it was a pitcher's duel from the starters. John Lester and Johnny Cueto were each dealing. Lester's final line ended up being 8 innings pitched, 5 hits, no runs, no walks, 5 strikeouts for a game score of 77. And in the 8th inning, with a 0-0 ball game, Javier Baez came up trying to give the Cubs a lead.
The quick pitch. And Baez sends it deep to left. Pagan is there at the wall and it's in the basket.
A huge home run for Javier Baez puts the Cubs up 1-0 in the game. After Aroldis Chapman threw a scoreless ninth, the Cubs are up 1-0 in the series as well. So now in game 2 of the series, Ben Zobrist got the scoring started early by hitting an RBI single in the first inning. And in the second, the Cubs they loaded the bases with no one out. And unfortunately, Kyle Hendricks was the batter. So obviously you're not looking to get much production with your pitcher at the plate.
Yeah, naturally.
In the middle of the diamond, they're back. And Hendricks breaks his bat, but flares it into center. It drops for a hit, and 2 runs score. Baez didn't hesitate, and the Cubs grab a 3-0 lead.
Incredible baseball instincts. He saw where Span was playing. He did not hesitate at all. As Hayward goes to tag up, that's the only thing that slows down Baez. This young man, you can see why they're so high on him.
So Kyle Hendricks actually comes through for them. And now 2 batters later, Chris Bryant delivered an RBI single to make it 4-0. But in the third, the lead was cut to half after Denard Span from the Giants doubled and Brandon Belt hit a sac fly to make it 4-2. In the fourth, another pitcher came up, Travis Wood. He came up to the plate after entering the game as a reliever.
Travis Wood just hit the 10th home run of his career. He is 3rd among active pitchers, and that's 10 for Travis Wood, and that's 5-2 for the Cubs.
I said you weren't missing much when Wood comes in at the plate and an athlete, and he delivered as a reliever. I think the hardest thing to do as a reliever in the postseason is check in. He not only checked in on the mound, he checked in at the plate and getting a standing ovation.
So that's 3 RBIs for Cubs pitchers on the night. And from there, the bullpen took over. The bullpen pitched 5 1/3 innings with 2 hits, no runs, no walks, and 6 strikeouts. Cubs won the game, and they were now up 2-0 in the series, commanding lead over San Francisco. So now we shift to the Bay Area, and the Cubs, they were looking to clinch the series and move on to the championship series. But there was a problem. Tonight, they were facing Madison Bumgarner, a man who needs no introduction for his postseason performances. And in the second, the Cubs had 2 on with 2 out, and then the unthinkable happened.
Arrieta launches to left, and it's gone!
Jake Arrieta, out of all the guys that have never had success in the postseason against Madison Bumgarner, go figure that's the guy to do it.
Yeah, insane.
So the Giants chipped away in the third on a Buster Posey RBI single. And then in the fifth, another Brandon Belt sac fly. So it was 3-2. And in the eighth, Aroldis Chapman was called upon to get the final 6 outs with runners already on. and he promptly gave up an RBI triple to Connor Gillespie and an RBI single to Brandon Crawford, which made it 5-3 San Francisco. Shoot. But in the ninth, Chris Bryant came up against Sergio Romo after a Dexter Fowler walk.
Swinging a high fly ball to deep left field. At the track, at the wall, Blanco leaps, and it's gone! Chris Bryant has tied it in the ninth! And the bullpen woes, which had appeared to be fixed in San Francisco, have resurfaced. A 5-5 ninth inning tie.
And it's tied. The game would go into extra innings, and the Cubs had Mike Montgomery go in long relief, with the Giants switching between Romo, Will Smith, and Ty Blach. And into the 13th inning, Brandon Crawford doubled to lead off the inning, and then after that was Joe Panic.
The Giants win. That game's at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific. A drive to right. And the Giants will win tonight. Here's Crawford with the winning run, and San Francisco survives to see another day.
So the Cubs clinch is going to have to wait at least one more day after that game. In game 4, the game was tied 1-1 in the bottom of the 4th, and the Giants took the lead on a Matt Moore single and then extended it on a Denard Span ground out. I swear these pitchers just keep hitting in this game, in this series for whatever reason. And the Cubs, they did get one back in the 5th on a David Ross sac fly, but the Giants got another 2 in the next half inning. So going into the top of the 9th, the Giants were 3 outs away from sending it back to Wrigley Field.
Thinking I'm going to get 3 outs. I get 3 outs, that's a save. We go on, and I'll be doing my thing on the mound. That's the area you got to be careful of.
And the base hit for Chris Bryant. Leadoff hitter aboard here in the top of the 9th.
Well, that'll be one and done.
So long, the 3-1. Lined into right field. That'll rattle around. Bryant scores easily. Rizzo held it third. And it's a 2-run ball game with nobody out in the 9th.
See, and that's exactly what Zobrist did the whole at bat.
He stayed right-handed hitting during the regular season. Back up the middle and through. Rizzo scores. Here's Zobrist, and the Cubs have tied it here in the 9th. Hayward bunting. Smith will go to second. They cut down the lead man. Throw to first is offline. Hayward's on his way to second. The go-ahead run in scoring position now. That go-ahead run at bay. Baez singles back up the middle. Hayward's being waved around, and Chicago has taken a 6-5 lead.
I am surprised at the pitch selection. I said it before. These young players for the Cubs are fearless and don't give up any inch to their competitors. And the craziness continues for the Cubs in a temporary lead.
Here's David Ross. And the Giants are down to their final out tonight. And the Chicago Cubs are moving on to the National League Championship Series.
Chris, I'll have my hand up on this. I went to bed at the start of the top of the 9th inning. And then I sprung right back up after Zobrist hit the double.
Yeah. I don't even know if I was up for this particular game.
For the record, the Giants' win probability at the start of the inning was 98%. So the Cubs had a 2% chance of winning that game, and then that inning happened. So the Cubs, as the resilient bunch they are, they won the series in that game. They didn't even have to worry about a Game 5 at Wrigley, and Chris Bryant was probably the best offensive performer in the series. A 375 batting average with a 1099 on OPS, a home run, and 3 RBIs. Also, Javier Baez, 375 average again, 974 OPS, 1 home run and 2 RBI. And then also Cubs pitching as a whole had a 3 flat ERA, and they didn't allow a home run the whole series.
And now we move on to the National League Championship Series, where the Cubs are facing the Dodgers. And in Game 1, the series opens up at Wrigley Field, and the Cubs were already up 2-0, and Javier Baez had himself a wild ending to a trip around the bases. Pretty interesting how he was able to score in this first game of the World Series, or of the National League Championship Series.
That is Baez coming to the plate. He is safe. 3-0. He got aggressive and then said, well, I'm done. And the only way I can make something happen is to not stop whatsoever. That aggression got a little lucky. And a run for the Cubs.
It's a steal of home for Javier Baez, who's doing everything right.
So Javier Baez makes the score 3-0 by basically stealing home.
Yeah.
And that made it 3-0. And after an Andre Ethier home run in the 5th and an Adrian Gonzalez 2-run single in the 8th, the Dodgers had tied the game 3-3. Ben Zobrist led off the bottom of the 8th with a double, and 2 outs and 2 intentional walks later, Miguel Montero pinch hit in the 9 spot with the bases loaded, looking to give the Cubs the lead. Here's Miguel Montero.
2. High drive into right, back at the wall, and is gone! Grand slam, Montero! Game 1 hero! This is going to be a carbon copy. Right over the middle of the plate, he sees 2 in a row.
So Miguel Montero puts the Cubs out in front by 4 runs. And Dexter Fowler is the next batter, and he follows it up pretty nice himself, if you're asking me.
Fowler charges one into right. Back into that well. This one is gone. Back to back. 8-3.
So that was the nail in the coffin. That made it 8-3. Insult to injury to make it 8-3. And the Cubs eventually won by the final score of 8-4, giving them the 1-0 series lead. And then we move on to Game 2, where Adrian Gonzalez led off the second for LA, trying to swing momentum, and that's exactly what he did. Hit a home run, making it 1-0. And this game actually turned out to be a pitcher's duel. It was between Clayton Kershaw and the 2016 ERA leader, Kyle Hendricks. And the Cubs only were able to gather 2 hits in this game, and they only had 1 at bat with runners in scoring position, and the Dodgers would win Game 2 by the score of 1-0, tying the series. And then in Game 3, the Dodgers were up 1-0 in the 4th, and after Josh Reddick singled, Yasmani Grandal looked to cash in, and that's exactly what he did, also hitting a home run. Justin Turner also homered in this game, and Rich Hill pretty much dealt like he usually does in the playoffs for 6 shutout innings, and the Dodgers won that game 6-0. Cubs only had 4 hits and 4 at-bats with runners in scoring position. It looked like the offense was struggling a little bit. And then in Game 4, to preface this game, one serious problem with the Cubs lineup had been Anthony Rizzo, kind of a guy who was kind of the heartbeat for the previous few years, especially when Chris Bryant wasn't there. At the time in the playoffs, he was 2 for 26 with 2 singles, and he needed something to break out of his slump. So he looked to a teammate. And Matt Caesar, am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yep, it's Caesar.
Matt Caesar was a utility man the Cubs had during the regular season, and he didn't make the postseason roster. And Rizzo decided to use his bat going forward. Caesar let him use the bat, and he was using the bat. And in Game 4, Anthony Rizzo came up to the plate in the 5th inning with the Cubs already leading 4-0 after RBIs from Wilson Contreras, Jason Hayward, and Addison Russell. So then it was time for Anthony Rizzo to break out with the help of his new lumber.
That's into right center field, back at the wall. This ball, Rizzo. 5-0 Chicago in the 5th. That is going to do the trick. Into right center field, and 2 runs are going to score. 8-2. 2-2. That's another hit for Rizzo. It's 2 on, 1 out.
So Anthony Rizzo breaks out of the slump pretty much with that game. The Cubs won the game 10-2. Addison Russell had 3 hits, including the homer. Dexter Fowler and Ben Zobrist also had multiple hits. And just like that, the series was tied at 2. And then we head to Game 5, where Dexter Fowler singled to lead off the ball game, as a good leadoff hitter does. And then up came Anthony Rizzo, still with his new bat.
Runner is going, and that's down into the corner. Fair ball. Fowler flying to third. Fowler coming to the plate. Rizzo 4 for his last 4. And the Cubs lead 1-0.
So Anthony Rizzo proceeds to keep mashing with Matt Caesar's bat and makes it a 1-0 ball game in Game 5. And then the Dodgers would actually later tie the game, and in the 6th inning, Addison Russell came up to the plate in this tie game with a man on base looking to give them the lead.
0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts tonight. The 0-1. High fly ball into center. The shortstop Russell. A big one. 2-run shot. 3-1 Chicago in the 6th.
This slider was less than perfect, and it looked like it might have even crossed up Ruiz. He's looking fast. Ball away, and that slider middle of the plate. And Russell told us going the other way has gotten him better locked in.
So the Cubs get the lead 3-1, and it seemed like they weren't going to give that up. The Cubs had a lead, but also they needed the insurance runs. And they would go on to do that in the 8th inning. The opportunity to pad on some runs, get some insurance, make it safe for the bullpen. This is what they did.
That's a ground ball. Fielded by Gonzalez. Safe at first. It's 4-1. Right now that's up to Bryant and Baez. 1st and 3rd, 1 out. Shattered bat. Runner coming to the plate. Another run. safe at first. 5-1. Bases loaded, 2 out. Javier Baez. Hard hit deep into right. Back at the wall. It's up against. 3 runs are going to score. Baez is going to hold at second, and the Cubs have blown it open.
So that ended up being a five-run inning, 5-run 8th inning for the Cubs. And the Cubs won this game 8-4, and they were 1 win away from the Fall Classic heading to Wrigley. And in Game 6, the city of Chicago was ready for a party for the Lakes, which they had not seen since 1945, since the year that World War II had ended. They wasted no time as the Cubs scored 2 in the first off of Clayton Kershaw. You know, Clayton Kershaw, they couldn't hit off of him in Game 2, but they scored 2 off of him in that first inning, giving them a lot more hope. And what does this say? Clayton Kershaw.
Oh,
on A. I'll just kind of restart that. Okay. I'll just start from Game 6. So now in Game 6, the city of Chicago was ready for a party, the likes of which they had not seen since 1945, since the year that World War II had ended. It had been 71 years since they could have a moment like this. Potentially. Not a guarantee. We saw how it went in 2003. Wouldn't want to mention that. And they wasted no time as the Cubs scored 2 in the first inning off of a Chris Bryant single and a Ben Zobrist sac fly. They scored 2 again, or they scored again. They scored 1 run in the second off of a Dexter Fowler single. And then in the 4th inning, rookie Wilson Contreras comes up against the 3-time Cy Young winner and sees what he can do against the vet.
That's down the line. Into the corner. Gone. Contreras. 4-0. How about Contreras?
I don't think he knows enough to get worried about anything. He knows Clay.
So that made it a 4-0 ball game against the Dodgers. And 1 inning later, Anthony Rizzo, with that bat, continued his momentum with the bat.
Defense. And a smart, terrific manager, Joe Maddon.
And the Cubs go up 5-0 in this potential clincher. And meanwhile on the mound, Kyle Hendricks, the ERA title winner, was absolutely dealing for the Chicago Cubs.
Game winner Kyle Hendricks on the mound. He struck him out. Oh, and him leaning, picked him off. Now he strikes him out down. Hendricks in total command. Still rolling. 2 out. Base hit by Josh Reddick ends an incredible string by Kyle Hendricks. A masterpiece for the 26-year-old.
So Kyle Hendricks ultimately goes 7 1/3 scoreless. And in the 9th, it was, you can describe it in any way you want, but to put it best in 3 words, it was time.
The best part about that final out is that Joe Buck. The best part of that about that final out is that Joe Buck literally had to scream like just to be heard because the crowd was completely wild.
Yeah, you're not lying there. Not at all. That's yeah, you could barely hear him at all.
You could hear the crowd over Joe Buck's, voice on a microphone.
Yeah, on a microphone projected in a press box.
Yeah.
It was still hard to get that audio. And Javier Baez and John Lester were co-MVPs of the National League Championship Series. Javi Baez hit .318 with an .833 OPS, along with incredible defense to go with that. That was especially highlighted in this series. And John Lester pitched 13 innings and had a 1.38 ERA in those 13 innings. Some honorable mentions as well. Anthony Rizzo hit .320 with a 10-10 OPS and 2 home runs and 5 RBI. Dexter Fowler hit .333 with an .889 OPS with 1 home run and 3 doubles. And Kyle Hendricks had an ERA under 1, a .71 ERA, allowing just 1 earned run in 12 2/3 innings pitched. And then we move on to the World Series, the Fall Classic, as previewed before when I accidentally flubbed the Midsummer Classic.
So the Cubs were facing the Cleveland Indians in the World Series, and this was the perfect World Series matchup. Of course, the Cubs, a team that hadn't won a World Series since 1908, versus Cleveland, a team that hadn't won one since 1948. These are the 2 longest active droughts in the league, so something had to give. And in Game 1, to put it quite short, the Cubs, they could not figure out Corey Kluber at all. They were dominated by him over 6 innings, and Cleveland catcher Roberto Perez stole the show with 2 home runs and 4 RBIs on the day, and Cleveland won the game 6-0. So now in Game 2, Anthony Rizzo got things started with an RBI double in a must-win game for the Cubs, by the way. You can't go down 2-0. And in the third, already up 1-0, the Cubs had a secret weapon in for them to come through in the clutch.
Joe let him go on 3-0. I would. He does, and a base hit. Here comes Rizzo. No throw to the plate. Schwarber's delivered 2-0. He's back. Schwarber with another base hit. Comes up 4-0 here in the 5th inning, and Schwarber's knocked home 2. He's taken here, and he takes a walk. And now Schwarber's been on base 3 straight times.
So Kyle Schwarber, off the disabled list with an ACL tear, is back in October to deliver for the Cubs in the World Series. So that happened, and Jake Arrieta went 5 2/3 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 run, 3 walks, and 6 strikeouts on the day. That is a recipe for a Cubs 5-1 victory to even up the series going into Wrigley. And in Game 3, despite facing the leader in home runs given up in 2016 and Josh Tomlin, this game actually turned out to be a pitcher's duel. Both Tomlin and Hendricks left the game scoreless, but in the 6th inning, the Cubs blinked first as Coco Crisp hit an RBI single. And from that point forward, the Indians bullpen pitched 4 1/3 innings pitched, 3 hits, no runs, no walks, and 7 strikeouts. And the Indians won the game 1-0 to go up 2-1 in the series. And then in Game 4, the Cubs got up to a 1-0 lead on a Rizzo single in the first. But the Indians came right back against John Lackey on a Carlos Santana home run and a Corey Kluber single. And then in the 7th inning, the Indians were winning 4-1, and Jason Kipnis delivered the dagger with a 3-run home run. And that was pretty much it. The Indians won 7-2, and they were up 3-1 in the World Series. So this is where we're at now. 108 years of failure. The most promising season the franchise had seen in years. The best team in Major League Baseball, and now they're down to their final game. The Cubs have to win 3 games in a row. And, well, if there's a year to do it, consider it this one. In the second inning of Game 5, Jose Ramirez hit a home run to lead off the inning. And the Cubs were now trailing in an elimination game. So how they responded would be a testament to their season. And well, in the fourth inning, it was Chris Bryant leading off.
Trevor Bauer, the right-hander, fires. Fly ball, deep left center field, back toward the wall. It's got a chance. Gone!
That's what you do with a fastball in the middle of the plate. You hit a line drive rocket over the 368. Side and left center, and the Cubs are on the board.
This place is shaking.
So Bryant ties the game up, and after the homer, Rizzo hit a double, Zobrist hit a single to bring him into third, and then Russell singled in Rizzo, and David Ross later hit a sac fly to make it 3-1 Chicago. Now that the Cubs had a lead, it was on John Lester.
It's all on him now for the Chicago Cubs and these fans. Got it. 2 out. Statement made. Strikes out. Ground ball to short. Russell. What a job by Lester. That's on the corner. Struck him out. There he goes. Throw by Ross is in time. Inning over. John Lester a hug. 90 pitches tonight.
A big-time outing from John Lester, a guy who has a lot of playoff outings that were big-time. After Lester's departure, Carl Edwards Jr. and Aroldis Chapman shut it down, and the Cubs survived to see another day with a 3-2 win. So now, Game 6, we shift back to Cleveland. The Cubs, once again, were playing for their life, and Chris Bryant got the Cubs on the board in Game 6. After getting him on the board in Game 5 as well.
Bryant, it's a high fly ball, deep left field. It's got a chance. Gone! Chris Bryant with a home run to left, and the Cubs lead 1-0.
On a 2-strike pitch, he lets the ball get deep and hits an absolute bomb into the seats in left field. What a start for the Cubs.
So Chris Bryant stays hot, hits another home run. And although Bryant was scorching at the plate, this would become the game where Addison Russell took over.
One run scores. Here comes throw home. Safe as the ball gets away, and Russell ends up at third. 2-0. At the wall, grand slam. 7-0 Chicago. But one pitch. Russell flips for the out as Baez keeps his foot on the bag. And the forced out ends the 6th.
So Addison Russell tied the record for RBIs in a single World Series game with 6. He became the 4th player to do so, and also the first shortstop to do so. And the Cubs won the game 9-2, and this season would come down to the 2 best words in sports. Game 7. The Cubs had the chance to erase a century-long World Series drought tonight. This was the biggest game that had ever been played in Chicago Cubs history. They never got this close to championship glory throughout the entirety of the drought, and they would need to start the game with a bang, build the momentum from the jump. Dexter Fowler led off the night, looking to get the ball rolling for the Cubs.
That's in the air to center. Back at the wall. It is gone. What a start. Dexter Fowler, hello, in Game 7. 1-0 Chicago. Well, Dexter Fowler couldn't have drawn it up any better. It's the first ever leadoff home run in a Game 7, and it belongs to Dexter Fowler.
Dexter Fowler, a man who was left out on the free agent market into mid-February, gets it going for the Cubs in the night where they needed it the most. Kyle Hendricks shut out the Indians through 2. In the third, Coco Crisp led off, hoping to get a rally started.
That's down the line. Crisp will dig for 2. Zobrist gets it back in. Double. The bunt. Rizzo will go to first. 1 out, tying run at third. And a good sacrifice by Roberto Perez. He does, tie game.
What a better feeling for the Indians early on here, tying it up.
So, the Indians tied the game in the 3rd inning. The Cubs would try to answer in the 4th and get back on top.
Left side, base hit, and somehow Bryant found a hole. Here's Rizzo hit by a pitch, and he'll take the bruise and the base. 2 on, nobody out. To the first baseman, Napoli. High and out at second, first and third, 1 out. And a wide throw by Napoli killed any chance of a double play. What's it going to be? Bryant tag, throw to the plate, high, safe, under the tag, and the Cubs lead 2-1. Davis came in, goes back, won't get there off the wall, and the lead is 2. It's 3-1.
It is a 3-1 Chicago lead in the 4th, and Hendricks continued to dominate in the 4th, bringing up Javier Baez, looking to tack on, leading off the 5th inning.
Here's a fly ball into right center. Back at the wall off the bat of Baez. 4-1. That ball was a rocket out to right center. First RBI of the World Series. It comes in Game 7.
So Javier Baez puts the Cubs in a commanding 4-1 lead. And that would be it for Corey Kluber. And Andrew Miller came on in relief. After Chris Bryant drew a 2-out walk, Anthony Rizzo looked to cash in once again.
See if that here's Bryant taking off. Here's a shot into right by Rizzo. Bryant's going to come around. The throw by Chisenhall. Now Kipnis. Another run. Bryant's safe, and it's 5-1.
It is a 5-1 game. The Cubs currently sit at an 88% win probability, and everything is going according to plan. The Cubs are so close to wiping away the curse. And Kyle Hendricks allowed a 2-out walk in the 5th inning, which concluded his night. Joe Madden called on for John Lester to pitch, and by that default, David Ross was called on to catch in his final career game. After allowed a single to Jason Kipnis, another thing that I can't even explain happened.
Swing of the bat, Francisco Lindor can make this a 2-run game. Lindor bounces in. It hits Ross. A run scores. Here comes Kipnis. He's safe. It's 5-3. Here's David Ross, John, that's had a tough time with concussions. That ball caught him square. And by the time he fell down, got up, Kipnis with great base running is ahead of the tag.
So that's a minor setback for the Cubs. It is still a 6-3 game, which is all right. Or I'm sorry, a 5-3 game. But David Ross and John Lester both needed to redeem themselves because Lester threw a tough pitch and Ross kind of, the ball went off his face and it kind of made him fall over, which led to the other run. So the next inning, Ross came up in what would likely be his final big league at bat against Andrew Miller.
Pitches. Ross flies one into center, sends Davis back at the wall. It's gone! The 39-year-old in his final game, David 6-3.
So, David Ross redeems himself in his final game. He cashes in with a home run. So Ross obviously fixes his night, and now it's time for Lester to do the same.
John Lester comes in. He worked at home in Game 5. A strikeout ends the inning. To the second baseman, Baez. Inning is over. Here's a ground ball back to Lester. And the only thing he can do is underhand to first. A strikeout ends the inning. Lester pumped up. 2 out. John Lester tonight goes 3 1/3.
The Cubs were 4 outs away from a World Series victory. The win probability was at 95%. Aroldis Chapman, the closer, was in for a 4-out save to finish it off. And he gives up a leadoff single to Jose Ramirez. No big deal, that's okay. The next batter was Brandon Guyer.
Runner will go. Line drive into right center field. That ball's down. Taking around third, Ramirez. He will score on an RBI double by Brandon Guyer. It's 6-4.
So now it's a 2-run game. And the tying run is at the plate in the form of Rajai Davis, a man who carried the Indians with his speed. He led the AL in steals in 2016, so fortunately, his power wasn't a huge threat.
Two outs, Guyer at second. 6-4, Cubs leading the Indians. Game 7 of what has been a classic World Series between two teams that have longed for that championship more years than any other two franchises in baseball. 68 years for the Indians, 108 years for the Cubs. Now the pitch. Swung on, line to deep left field. It is gone! You should see the celebration out of the Indians' third base dugout. Rajai Davis, a bullet, 2-run homer down the left field line, clearing the 19-foot wall. We are tied at 6.
That was it. It was a 6-6 ball game. Chris, it was at this very moment on that night when I realized that the Cubs were cursed. They were never meant to win a World Series. I mean, like, Rajai Davis, really? That's the guy?
No way.
In the top of the 9th, the Cubs had a runner on first with 1 out, looking to climb back on top.
Cubs will take the lead. Almora digging to the plate. Zobrist delivers 7-6 in the 10th.
So that's it. The Cubs have the lead. And after Addison Russell was later intentionally walked, Miguel Montero looked to tack on.
The rest of this 10th. That's a base hit. Rizzo scores. Zobrist is held. 8-6 Chicago.
The Cubs were 3 outs away. Carl Edwards Jr. got the first 2 outs in the 10th. With 1 out to go, he walked Brandon Guyer. And the fate of this game was once again in the hands of Rajai Davis.
Into center field, another hit. Here comes Guyer. The throw into second. It's a 1-run game. Davis delivers again.
After that, Edwards exited the game, and Mike Montgomery came in to face Michael Martinez. This season came down to a defensive replacement versus a long reliever that was acquired midseason. For the World Series, for history, for generations worth of frustration, anger, and failure on both sides, all of it in this moment could be erased.
Here's the 0-1. This is going to be a tough play. Bryant, the Cubs win the World Series. Bryant makes the play. It's over. And the Cubs have finally won it all. 8-7-10.
And there it is. For the first time in 108 years, the Chicago Cubs are World Series champions.
It's definitely one of the more memorable World Series of my life. No doubt about it.
It could be number 1. So Ben Zobrist was named the World Series MVP. Of course, he had that go-ahead hit, and he hit 357, 419, 500 for a 919 OPS, 2 doubles, 1 triple, and 2 RBIs. Anthony Rizzo, throughout the playoffs, after switching to Matt Caesar's bat, slashed 410, 489, 769, 1258 with 3 home runs, 5 doubles, and 10 RBIs. He absolutely raked. Kyle Schwarber coming off the DL with an injury. 412, 500s, 471, 971, 2 RBI, 3 walks. Chris Bryant and Dexter Fowler each had 2 home runs in the series. Kyle Hendricks had 1 earned run over 9 innings pitched, and the team overall had a 3.43 ERA. So this team's legacy goes without saying, but we're going to say it anyway. Of course, they were the first Cubs team to win the World Series in 108 years. They captured the hearts of America with over 75 million people tuning into Game 7 of the World Series at some point. Also, the victory song Go Cubs Go, it was on Billboard charts after the victory. The whole world was playing the Cubs victory anthem after this victory. And 5 million people attended the Cubs World Series parade in Chicago. And there's a claim out there that this was the 7th largest gathering in human history.
Yeah, I mean, thank God the curse was broken pre-COVID.
Yeah. Oh my God, that would have been terrible. I just on a more personal note, I remember I was a sophomore in high school for this, and I remember waking up the day of Game 7 just thinking, remember everything about today, because this could be the day that you watch the Cubs win the World Series, which is something that your parents have never done, your grandparents have never done. Pretty much nobody who's alive has ever seen it. And I remember I had a global history test the next day that I ended up failing because I was watching this game instead of studying. And you know what? It was worth it. It was totally worth it.
Yeah. Like personally, throughout the playoffs, I had some weird sleep stuff. I know game 5 of the NLCS and game 6 of the World Series. I was so tired from my day that instead of watching them at night, I recorded the game and I would fall asleep. I'd set the alarm for like 4 a.m. and I'd watch it without commercials. So for game 5 of the NLCS and game 6 of the World Series, I was watching that. I was watching that at the crack of dawn.
Nice.
So that was my experience with it.
I love it. I love it. I mean, this was such a likable team on all fronts. Like there was even if there wasn't a curse, I think everyone around America would have been down for the cause for this team to win a championship, even if they were wearing, even dare I say, Yankee pinstripes. I mean, this team was so likable that I think even we could get behind them if they were the Yankees.
Yeah, and like and that statement does hold true because they were also facing a team who was on a drought in the World Series, but the Cubs just had a bigger likability factor. You know, Brizzo helped a lot. Having David Ross there helped a lot. And
Joe Madden's camaraderie.
Joe Madden helped with that a lot. Yeah, they were a very likable team and pretty easy to root for. And especially, you know, with the fans there, you could feel it in game 6 of the NLCS when they clinched. It was easy to get on their bandwagon. You know, probably one of the easier teams, probably the easiest team in my lifetime that you could get on a bandwagon for. Because once, you know, we're Red Sox fans. Once the Red Sox got eliminated in the ALDS, I was kind of all for the Cubs after that. And it was pretty easy to do that.
Also, another thing, this series cemented Theo Epstein's legacy as possibly the greatest GM in baseball history, ending 2 80-plus year curses. And he was only still like 45 years old at that point. Like he was waltzing into the Hall of Fame just at that age.
Yeah. He was doing amazing. And that game 7, I guess as an aside, that game 7 was a matchup between two guys breaking 2, you know, huge World Series droughts. Terry Francona was trying to end the Indians drought, and Theo Epstein was trying to end the Cubs drought. They both ended the Red Sox drought, and Theo Epstein came on top. And we're gonna see Theo Epstein in a later video, but first we have some fan reactions for
because this is what it's all about. Like this is about the Cubs fans that never got to see it until this very moment. They'd waited all their lives. So
Absolutely.
This video is really what it's all about.
Very much so.
A wise man once said, "How can you not be romantic about baseball?"
Absolutely.
So Chris has a little bonus video for us, something he made for a school project right before COVID.
Yeah. I'll provide context after the video is played.
It's time to party like it's 1908. The Chicago Cubs defeated the Cleveland Indians in 7 games in the World Series. This is the Cubs' first World Series victory in 108 years. The team knew immediately how it affected the fans of the Cubs.
The whole team is going to have a special place in Chicago's hearts forever, and they deserve it. Man, I look around this room and see all the players and all the scouts and player development guys, everyone who contributed, and just to know that they're going to have the connection with the city and with each other forever, that means the world to me.
It was not easy for the players or the fans to get there, though. With a 6-4 lead in the 8th inning, Rajai Davis hit a 2-run homer off of Aroldis Chapman, who had been lights out in the playoffs up to that point. But after a short rain delay, the Cubs were able to recoup and score 2 runs in the 10th. The Cubs were then able to get the last 3 outs to become champions.
Chicago's parade is 108 years in the making, and it will be on Friday, November 4th. I heard they're dyeing the river blue. For Com 130, I'm Chris Gianta.
So for context there, we had we're in sports journalism at Springfield College, as previously mentioned in the show. And we have a broadcast writing class. So we basically make TV packages, TV stories. So this was last year, spring semester of freshman year. We're in sophomore year, first semester now. And this was right around early March when this virus was going around. And, we were wondering what's going to happen with this virus. So about, I think it was maybe 11 or 12 people did stories about the coronavirus. And I asked, hey, can I do one from like years ago? Does it have to be a current event? Because, we're really just focusing on the writing here. And our lovely professor Laura said, yeah, we could do that. So I decided to do a TV story about the 2016 Cubs winning the World Series. So
it was breaking news. I couldn't believe it when I said that they actually won.
Yeah, you went to bed early and you found out that they won.
I woke up from a 4-year coma and then watched your package. I was like, whoa, the Cubs, they did it.
Yeah, so that's what it was. I just didn't want to. I didn't know a lot about the coronavirus, so I decided not to do a story about it and go an avenue that I know about, which is baseball.
That's right. One thing I'd like to add, we are never in our lifetimes again going to see people hopping on a bandwagon like they did for the Cubs because the storylines were so perfect. Like, we're never going to see another World Series with 2 teams with 70+ year droughts, big time franchises, might I add. Like, if we see like, I don't know, the Seattle Mariners, like, sure, it'll be a fun story, but it's not it's not the Cubs, where they have this elongated history of being one of the most prestigious franchises in baseball. We're never going to see it again. So I think we need to appreciate this team as much as we can.
Yeah, very much so. And a good point too is, the Cubs, that the curse was special because they are, a historic franchise and they've been around for so long. People also talk about the Red Sox curse, but no one really ever talks about the White Sox curse because no one really cares about the White Sox.
Or even the Phillies curse before 1980.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Cubs, it was such a storyline. We're never really ever going to see that again.
Yeah, the White Sox literally went longer than the Red Sox and no one talks about it.
No one talks about it at all. I guess, the White Sox, they didn't really go to the World Series very much in between those years, but the Red Sox had more heartbreak, but still, and it was an 88-year drought.
Yeah.
So I guess that does it for the 2016 Cubs. All right. So now on to our favorite part of the episode, our favorite, because it kind of determines what our week looks like in our daily life here in the MLB offseason. We are going to be picking our player and team for the next week. I have 15 players listed, randomly assigned numbers 1 through 15. Daniel has the same exact thing, except with teams, like the 2016 Cubs. So last week you picked first.
I did.
And this week I'm going to be picking first. I picked 12 last week. And this week I'm going to be picking number 5.
Team number 5. Okay. I went back and forth a lot of times on which of these teams to do. This team had their season end unlike any other on the list, but nonetheless, they were still a very good franchise. And we're going to do the 1997 Cleveland Indians.
Ooh, the 1997 Cleveland Indians. Yeah, they do
So
have...
we get to do some more Indians World Series losses, but this time we get Albert Bell, we get Jim Tomei, we get
Manny Ramirez,
we get Garrett Wright.
Yeah,
we get.
What did Kenny Lofton, Manny Ramirez?
No, Kenny Lofton was not on that team. Kenny Lofton got traded.
Oh, that's a shame. Kenny Lofton.
Yeah, he wasn't on this team.
Yeah, Kenny Lofton was exciting. But yeah, we get to look forward to the 1997 Indians. Basically, one of the staples of kind of the Indians run that never ended up getting a World Series, unfortunately for them. So now we are going to be deciding what player we are going to be talking about next week.
We're going to go with player number 10.
Player number 10. It is another pitcher. This was his career ended around when Maddox's career started.
So this is wait, I think I know who it is then.
A guy before his, I mean, there's a lot of guys you could pick.
Okay, wait, did you just say so pitcher, his career started when Maddox's ended?
No. Okay.
Wait. Oh.
I mixed my words up. His career ended when Maddox's started. Around when Maddox's
much
started.
Different era than what I was thinking. I was thinking easy Clayton Kershaw because he debuted in 08.
Yeah. And they were teammates, oddly enough, Clayton Kershaw and Greg Maddux. But no, this is before Maddox's era, my bad. And this guy also joins Greg Maddux in an exclusive club, winning is one of only 4 men to have 4 Cy Youngs. We're talking about Steve Carlton next week.
Steve Carlton, one of the best left-handed pitchers of all time.
Yeah, big part of that era where pitching dominated. Starting pitching was a huge deal, and Steve Carlton, big part of that.
Yeah, he was. He's like a low-key Hall of Famer. Like I don't think people understand how good he really was.
Yeah, especially in terms of like the count statistics. He's also one of 4 guys with 4,000 plus strikeouts. Like the counts.
I think he's one of 3 lefties with 3,000 strikeouts. I want to say it's him, Randy Johnson, and CC Sabathia.
Yeah, must be. But yeah, a good episode that we have to look forward to next week. We have Steve Carlton and the 1997 Indians. 2 kind of low key items there.
Yeah.
Going to be a fun one. Going to try to shed some light onto that player and that team. So we hope you enjoyed part 2 of the 2016 Cubs. We know it was a fantastic episode, and we definitely know that you enjoyed this one. We hope, and if you're listening on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and want to watch the YouTube videos with us, go to our YouTube channel. It is called STBNL with Cristianta and Daniel Curran. We know with the teams, we have a lot more videos. 2016 Cubs were a big example of that. Going to want to hop over to YouTube. Also, if you want to follow us on social media, follow me on Twitter at Chris_Gianta. Follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram at Daniel_Curran, and follow the show Instagram at STBNL Podcast.
Also, we would like to thank Baseball Reference, Fangraphs, and also Sports Illustrated for that one little thing that they had us with. This show would not have been possible without them.
Correct. And we hope to see you on Tuesday, where we're going to be breaking down MLB news, all MLB team, free agency, more things like that. And then on Thursday and Friday, we're going to be talking about Steve Carlton in part 1 of the history episode, and then part 2 will be featuring the 1997 Indians. See you then.